Good morning, everyone. This is Katie with NLFX Professional, and I have Nick Covino here. He has been watching since day one. Day one. He was like the first person that hopped on and has been leaving comments. So I really appreciate that, Nick.
I am super excited to be here.
And another note, it's your birthday.
It is. Today is my birthday. That's one of the perks of getting to choose a date. When you put this up there, you were so popular that you were like backlogged like over a month. Even I know Ben couldn't even get on the show for like a while, and I chose this date because of my birthday, and I thought it was something fun to look forward to.
Well, I would sing happy birthday to you, but nobody, trust me, nobody wants to hear that. So.
That's okay. I've been sung to already earlier this morning, so it's good.
Perfect. So Nick, why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
Well, I am a Southern California DJ. I started back in officially in 1999 is when I first started. I got my first gig in 1999. My mother drove me to my first event way back when, because I didn't have a van yet. And my mom drove me to my event, and it was a catastrophe. They say you never forget your first time. I will never forget that event. And it was really, really bad.
What made it bad?
What made it bad was, now that I know, is that I was the wrong DJ for the event. It was a quinceañera, and this person had hired me because I was very cost effective at the time, and I just really didn't know all the ins and outs of a good quinceañera, and so it was my first gig that I've ever done, and so I came there with like a wallet full of CDs and a very basic sound system that I sort of put together myself. And I just really wasn't the right DJ for the gig. Looking back on it now, if I were asked to do something like that again, I would make sure I knew a lot more about the girl and the family and being more prepared for it. But I was young and just thought that it was a gig and I would try it. And it was my first time. So that was a very, very interesting time for me, but I'll never forget it. First time, way back then. So now we do. I've been DJing almost 20 years now, and now I do. I do events every week. When we're allowed to have events, and I do much better as far as reading crowds and being prepared and all that stuff. But it's taught me a lot over the years. I was a roadie for, gosh. I don't know how many companies, but I was always the tech guy because I was always the guy that knew how to put everything together and be the behind the scenes tech and set up and all that stuff. So I was a roadie for a lot of companies for a long time, and was still doing my DJ business, but was able to sort of be the guy that could handle whatever the company would throw at me. So I've always been the tech behind the scenes type of person that could just kind of do anything. That's kind of my
So Nick, what do you mainly focus on now? Are you mainly focusing on weddings? Are you a club DJ? Where have you gone?
Well, I did clubs for a number of years until sort of the promoters took over and the money kind of ran out. So, but now I'm mainly in the last, I'd say maybe 5 to maybe 8 years, maybe more than that, maybe 5 to 10 years. I've really started doing a lot of schools. So schools is my main function. I do a lot of high schools, a lot of middle schools, a lot of PTAs, a lot of those types of events that I do. And I've gotten really good at working with schools and kind of knowing the ins and outs of how those come together. So I would say that I have a really good following here in Southern California working with schools. I have about 300 to 400 schools in my database that I talk to, on a bi-monthly basis. And, they book me pretty much, years out. I do the gig I would have had this week was booked last August. Because schools try to get me schools try to book me in August for their June events next year because they know that my grad season is always just ridiculous. So
I'm gonna ask you the $1 million question.
Sure.
How a lot of people that I've talked to find it really hard to get in with the schools. How would one do that? It's hard to get in with the schools because of budgets and whatnot. So how do you navigate that?
So I was on with John Young a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about the same concept of how to kind of market to schools. And you really have to think about it a different way. You're not marketing to the school. You're marketing to the PTA mom, and you're marketing to the ASB advisor, because those are the people that are going to talk you up to the kids. So when I market to the schools, I'm marketing normally to the PTA parents, and I'm saying, hey, this is what we do. This is how we get your school engaged. This is what it looks like. This is what we can bring. And what happens there is that mom or that ASB advisor, whoever it might be, will bring that information back to the school and say, you know, this person showed me everything they do. It looks really great. It fits in our budget. I think we should move forward with that event. Occasionally, I'll get asked to come in and present to the ASBs and stuff like that, and that's on rare occasions. But normally, you have to basically give enough information to the PTA moms and the ASB advisor so they can take that back to their committee and then kind of speak for you. And so that's what I've done. I've created a lot of marketing pieces that they can sort of take away and take to their events or take to their committees, and that normally will sell the event for me. And once I do a school once, maybe twice, I've usually got them sold for the rest of the year. I don't do year-long contracts because I want to prove myself every time I go. Every time I go to an event, I want to make sure they've had a great event and they want to book me again. So I don't do year-long contracts, but I've never had a problem. So I usually get bookings year over year with the same schools.
So if someone today wanted to start marketing to the PTA moms or the school boards, what is one thing you would suggest that they do today to jump on the bandwagon and start that ride?
Create some sort of very simple flyer or very simple PDF or simple website that is very easy for the school or the PTA to read. Something very, very simple. Not a lot of words, as many pictures as possible, simple upfront pricing that they can give to the school and say, here's what I do, you know, take it and show it to your people. That's really the key, is that you want to have a good marketing piece that they can take with them. And the easier they can access it, the better. You would be amazed how many PTA moms and ASB advisors rarely go to my website. They text me because they see the phone number on the website or they see it on the marketing piece and they text me and say, hey, we need a DJ for this event. And then I send them, you know, a link to my flyer or a link to my marketing piece, and then we go from there. And all of my contracting is now online. So nobody signed anything. It's all done digitally. They sign on the website and it's all done. So it's pretty cool. So
do you do a lot of grad parties then too? Does that kind of trickle down to like seniors graduating and doing grad parties? Is it it seems like it's kind of like just a huge network.
It is. With the grad nights and stuff, they are not rare. They're interesting because in North County, where I'm at, all the grads are within a couple of days. So you have to sort of pick which ones you want to do and see how they kind of work out. I've done the same grad night for the same school for the last 5 years. This year was canceled, but and they book me usually in January for their grad night. So it just depends on which school and when they graduate. And some of the schools in North County, they go to Disneyland. That's a big thing here. So about half, or maybe 50% of the school, all go to Disneyland or Magic Mountain, or they do one of those grad nights. And that's a big thing. So that's a lot of them. There's also a venue here in town that does all night parties, and they have their own built-in sort of DJ thing. So that's another grad night that happens. But the schools that I do, normally they're like lock-ins where they lock them all into the gym and they do an overnight grad night, which is a lot of fun.
Perfect. So guys, I do want to mention, if you have questions, write them in the comments. I am monitoring them as we are chatting with Nick here. So Nick, aside from the marketing like just the website and PDF and making it super simple, what else would you recommend? I mean, because if you're marketing to the PTA and the moms, are you using Instagram? Are you using Facebook? Are you using TikTok? Or do you try to market as well to the kids?
The kids sort of come by osmosis, because when I do the events, we use a myriad of like jam text and texting by request and stuff. So I'm able to sort of send out like a mass text to the kids afterwards and say, hey, check your pictures out on Instagram, or here's my website for the photo booth gallery. And so that sort of gets it out that way. But the kids are not really usually the decision makers. Normally it's the parents and the ASB advisors. And honestly, with them, it's email and text. Like the social media aspect for the parents is normally not an issue. It's direct text and direct emails. I normally will send out a mass email every other month to my 300 to 400 schools. And normally I will get a return of about 5 new bookings every time I send out an email, which is a really great return. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. And then there's always like a month, like in the middle, there's always some random school that'll say, hey, I got your flyer from Sally from this other school. We need a DJ. So that always happens. But normally every time I send out an email, I usually get about 5 or so solid responses.
So what CRM do you use?
What's that?
What client management software do you use?
Oh, so I keep it really, really simple. I actually have a straight up Google database, Google Sheets that I use, and I have a couple of girls that kind of they work with me in defining that database. They'll call schools for me a couple times a year, and they'll get all the names of PTAs and all the ASB advisors, and they'll refine that school. And then I have a template that I drop into basically a Word doc that does mass mailing for me, and it puts their name and their school and some custom information about them, and it makes the email really, really custom, and then it sends out all in one shot to every school. So it works out really well. I actually don't use one of the back end like Constant Contact or SurveyMonkey. I don't use those because a lot of those emails tend to get blocked. So the ones I use are coming directly from Nick at djextreme.com. So it makes it a lot easier for them to get it direct. And sometimes I get moms that will write back and say, I'm no longer with the school, I'm no longer with the PTA or something. And I just go in the database and I erase their email address. And then the next time we do updates, we put a new email address in there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Nick, one question that I have for you is, who has been the most influential person in your life, career-wise? And then that's my segue to, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Wow. Well, I've had 2 people that have been really influential in my life. And I'm not trying to blow smoke, but I honestly say that Ben has been a really cool guy. Ben has been really influential because Ben, to me, has sort of shown the industry what it means to be humble and what it means to be, in it for the team. You never hear Ben talk about how great he is. You talk about how he wants to help other people. And that's something that I really look up to. So I talked to Ben in Vegas last time we were all there. And I said, Ben, you become this industry standard for people that just, want to know you. And it's just really cool. He's become an icon of the industry that really makes people want to be like him because he's so humble and so nice, and he just wants to help, no matter what that means. And that's really been cool. The second person was a DJ that took me under his wing when I was like 18 or 19, and we're still really good friends. And he has brought me up in the industry, and I was his roadie, and he has shown me the ropes and give me business advice. His name is Spencer, and he's really been like influential to show me what I didn't know I was doing wrong, throughout the industry. And he's really brought me up. So Ben and Spencer would be my 2 go-tos for awesome people in the industry.
So then, Nick, with that being said, what does success mean to you? How do you know when DJ Extreme Nick Covino has made it?
You know what? I really thought about this question because I know you ask it a lot, and I really thought about it. So the answer to that is Mark Cuban defines success as walking into a room full of your industry people and not having to introduce yourself. That's what Mark Cuban says. To me, success is when you know what your next step is, and you are educated enough to know that you're moving forward, because success, is always getting redefined when you move forward. So to me, success is that I know where I'm going, I know where I've been, and I know what goals I'm setting to get where I want to be. And then when I get there, I'll set another goal and do what I want to do. But that's to me, it's always moving forward. And if that means micro steps or big steps, then that's how it is.
I think that's great. I think it just shows that for me, continuing education is huge. I believe that if you're not learning, then you're plateauing. So for me, it's like just that continuing education, and then knowing where to go from there and continuing to learn is like the biggest thing for me. So with that being said, is there anybody that you watch or listen to or learn from on a pretty regular basis?
Not really anybody particular. I really enjoyed a lot of the people that have been on your show, because they all have great nuggets of wisdom that are really good. One of the best ones that I remember from one of your casts, which I don't remember his name, but it was such a great comment. And the comment was, I book clients, I work with friends. Okay. And that was such a great comment, because you want to get to know your clients, and you want to turn them into friends. And I thought that was such a great comment. So I like to watch videos like this, and I like to go online and listen to other people that have talked about stuff, and just absorb all I can from other people. That's really, really, I don't have any direct mentors right now, but people that I just like to ingest information and sort of absorb it all is always really fun for me.
And you were talking about a group that you were in last night. Do you use that group often to just...
Oh yeah, totally. So Brian S. Red is in that group, and Jay Brennan, Howie Darkstar. Howie's online right now. What's up, Howie? And a couple of the really cool industry professionals are in that group, and we talk about everything. I mean, we talk about music programming, we talk about weddings, we talk about gear. I mean, everything under the sun. I mean, nothing's off limits. We love chatting, and it's something we do that is just a lot of fun. I don't go in there as often as I think Jay and Brian do. I go in maybe a couple of days, but I mean, they're in there every night. I mean, usually it's around 9 or 10 when people get in there, and then we'll chat for hours. It's super fun, and it's just anything. And we love learning stuff, and we share videos, and it's been really great. And it was started by John Young. I mean, he started the DJ Chill Room a couple months ago, and it's been really, really great to kind of check it out. So I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. So it looks like we are almost out of time. It goes by so quickly when you're like in it, doesn't it? Yeah. Like when you're on the show, it goes by so quickly.
It does. It's a lot of fun though. Yeah.
I know yesterday I did not have a question at the end from my son, so I did talk to him.
I was sad. I wanted the head start. I was paying such close attention. I really wanted to hear it.
I am going to say this is a loaded question, but it is the one that he wanted me to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it and see what happens. The question is, if you were to become president, what would you do?
Oh my goodness. Wow. What's your son's name?
Jackson.
Oh my goodness, Jackson, that is a great question for the day. Oh my goodness. If I were to become president of the United States, just to clarify, what would I do? Would that mean that the current president would have stepped down and I'd be the new president?
I would imagine so, yes.
Okay, well, that would be that'd be a feat in itself, right there. If I were to become president, I think the first thing I would do would focus as much as I possibly could on global education. I would do whatever I can to get students out of debt that are in student loans. I'd do whatever I can to get rid of that, and then I would focus on creating as many educational opportunities for students of all colors, races, minorities, everything across the board, to get more education, because that is what's going to help move our country forward is more education, putting educators in the right places and putting students in the right places to help us move forward. So that's what I would do if I were president. Education first.
I think that is an awesome answer. It wasn't as loaded as I thought it was going to be with that answer. I was like expecting a really long debate or something. So I was like, honey, I don't know if I should ask that question or not. And he's like, yeah, mom, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay.
It's good. When I used to teach a web show, I taught a web show to fifth graders. And one of the first questions we'd ask the fifth graders to go out into the school, and we'd say to the fifth graders, ask your school the question, if they were the principal, if they ran the school, what would they change? And normally the questions we got were longer recess or more candy or no school, But normally the kids that took it seriously would say that they wanted like more of a certain subject or more education if they took it seriously. But I think education, whether it be tiny or huge, is what's going to help us move forward in general.
So Nick, just one more question. I know we're almost out of time, but have you always wanted to be in the industry?
That's a really good question. Being a DJ, so if I have that's Leanna. So if you don't mind, let me say how I sort of got really started. It was really weird. When I was how old was I? I was in 8th grade. When I was in 8th grade, I went to my 8th grade dance at my school, and I had just gotten dumped by the girl that I was sort of supposed to go to the dance with. She had said to me, hey, I don't want to go to the dance with you. I don't want to see you anymore. You're not cool. So I got dumped in 8th grade. So I went to the dance anyway, and I went and hung out with the DJ. His name was Greg. And he sort of showed me kind of how the mixer works and how the faders work and everything. And I was like, wow, I was already kind of a tech nerd at the time, but I was so into it. So I went home and I was like, Mom, I want to be a DJ. That was my thing. And my mom was like, maybe, I don't know what this fad is all about. So for my birthday that year, she actually bought me a little Gemini mixer and a Gemini CD player. And I literally broke the home stereo twice, trying to be loud and get this thing working. And so over the course of a year, I sort of was building up equipment and building up CDs and equipment and stuff. And then I finally got my first gig that I told you about. But ever since then, I just have loved the tech side. So I've really, really gotten into anything to do with the tech and the setup and speakers and video. And so I love the tech setup and how it all comes together. And I love anything to do with special events where I get to do tech or AV or DJing or lighting. I just love all that stuff. So the more nerd I can be, the better. And the fact that I can make a living doing it just makes it so much cooler for me.
Awesome. So that is our time today. I do want to say happy birthday again, Nick. I do want everybody to write comments. I want 100 comments on here saying happy birthday, Nick. So share it.
Sure how many watchers did we have? I don't even know.
We have 2 comments right now.
Okay, no watchers. I couldn't see the watchers, but that's all right. As long as Howie's here, that's all that matters.
Howie's here. So make sure you write happy birthday, Nick, in the comments, because I want it to just strings and strings of happy birthday Nicks in there. But other than that, guys, I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. I am technically on vacation starting tomorrow through I'm back on Monday, but I will be doing the live cast, the webcast here every morning. And thank you, Nick, for joining me. I appreciate it.
I'll see you tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.